Button has been hit. Sick nasty.
Awesome.
All right, let me pop this up so I have this. So yeah, this is Raze. Say hi, Raze.
How's it going, guys?
I'm not going to be reading chat, with the exception of like technical difficulty stuff, which, yes, everything is unmuted, everything's good. So what we want to work on is you got a lot of characters you'd like to play, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that can make it a little unfocused, especially when you don't really have a plan going into any given match.
Yeah.
So I figured we could play for a little bit. Let's play this matchup for like 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
And then we can basically try to, on the CSS, try to figure out what, like, with it, before you even play on the CSS, try to figure out, like, hey, what are some things in the matchup? Whoa. Yeah, you are in Florida and I'm in Texas, so even with good connections, it's not going to be perfect. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we living. There you go.
That was sick.
Thank you. B moves are good on this character. It's a good time. So what? I guess what kind of matchups do you frequently play in Florida? I'm not super familiar with the scene outside of Nog, Kala, and Jags. So I know there's Ivysaur, DK, a little Rob, some Marth. Who else is down there?
Yes. So I'm in North Florida right now. So basically, who I play against consistently at like a high level is Jags, so Marth, and then Tombo, who's playing Yoshi.
That's right. I forgot Tombo's down there.
And then other than that, we have a couple of local players. Luigi, Noir, who's a Roy player. We got a pretty decent spread. But a lot of weird matchups for sure.
Do you have any? Oh damn! Thank you, FD. Aside from Roy, do you have any other fast fallers that you play against?
There is a Fox player, but he's mostly melee, so he just kind of comes around every once in a while.
Gotcha.
But I don't think. But I mean, besides like the other characters that like Jags and Tombo play, like Jags plays a bunch of Falcon. He plays a bunch of Spaceys. And then Tombo plays a bit of DK, Falcon, Snake. So
Gotcha.
It's
So
not like I.
you've got
It's
like
not like I don't.
secondaries practice, for instance.
Yeah. It's not like I don't have a lot of practice with those characters. It's more of just the fact that like because I've recently decided to like switch off of Zelda. Like I've mained Zelda for like I think close to 5 years now, and she just like kind of just dropped off being fun for me. So I've been, and I really it's a thing that I've like always struggled with was like character identity. I really like playing a lot of different characters, um, and that's I was talking with Jags about it. Oh, and he was saying that well, if you have fun playing the game, playing a bunch of different characters, then play a bunch of different characters. You know, there are there are a bunch of different like people who are dual mains, tri mains, and stuff like that, and as well as people who have switched off of like characters that they no longer like playing. Like he was saying, like Boring Man was one, Run Gunshoe, just to name a couple. And I think like what really helped me was having like these top players are like going through the same things that I was going through. So I was able to like finally decide to make the switch.
Yeah, it's not just like a growing pains problem. It's like just a full on. This is just a part of playing the game problem.
Cool, I'm good. But yeah, so the current characters where I'm like kind of sitting with having fun are Meta Knight, Wolf, Lucario, and Kirby.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, you're right.
oh, that was good. Yeah.
Ooh, we live in. Just the Wii Sports theme just kills me.
It gets me every time. Oh.
How dare you get that balloon? Nice. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with playing a lot of characters. I just think you gotta like approach like especially in tournament, approach like your decision making a little differently on the CSS. Because there is decision making on the CSS now. You know what I mean? Whereas before, it's just, oh, I play Mewtwo, right? I don't have to think about who I'm going to play. I just play Mewtwo. That's my job.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, so we played a few games of this matchup. Let's really quick go over like the pros and cons of Meta Knight into Mewtwo in a general sense, and then the pros and cons of Meta Knight into Mewtwo over like Mewtwo over like Kirby or Lucario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, by nature, this is character specific, and by nature of playing multiple characters, because you're in 3 pools, you can't go as deep into them, at least as quickly.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like generalized stuff for the most part. First exception though to that is that Meta Knight fast. That's good.
Yeah.
Even by like Lucario standards, he's pretty fast. His short hop, he can control a lot of space with his aerials, so he can like bait the down tilt, bait the teleport, etc., stuff like that. Other stuff is he has the kill confirms. The up throw, even if they don't, I don't remember in P+ if they quite confirm, because Mewtwo got weight nerf, and up throw cape, one of those two also got like a nerf on the combo killing. So this is something that like people or Meta Knight Cord might have like a doc about it, but I don't know if it would be updated to P+.
I've had Teals send me the the docs for that.
Okay, perfect. There is math for it.
Charts and yeah, I have all that.
You have you have like kill confirms between that and down tilt. F tilt 1, when that sends a tumble, you can get IDC out of that, instant dimensional cape. So like for the most part, Mewtwo is not going to be living to like 150, 160 between like Nair, Bear, Dare, and neutral, and then I know grab stops being a threat after the percent range is gone, but you know a stray down tilt, a stray F tilt 1 could kill.
Yeah.
So that's consistent kills. Cons being, even if you have 4 jumps, you do need them, and they are small.
Yeah.
Because for vertical height, you either have reverse up B or kind of mashing neutral B. That's still not great. So it becomes a very, like, even for Meta Knight, who's pretty good about this otherwise, you do have to get back to stage with a little, like, immediacy. Like, there is the threat there of, like, oh, I could just die.
Yeah.
And then minor, like, he's a fast faller, but his gravity's a little lower, so he's kind of a semi-fast faller, minor fast faller, whatever you want to put for that. Because, like, for Fox, Falco, Wolf, for almost the rest of the cast, the gravity and max fall speed is, like, the same trend. Meta Knight's is a little different, where his gravity is lower than his fall speed would suggest. So, yeah, that's... To kind of go over the pros and cons real quick, that's what Meta Knight has in the matchup versus Kirby. Kirby actually has kill confirms before Meta Knight does, because F-Throw is so ridiculous in P+.
Yeah.
I was playing SSK at Shipwrecks. We were rooming together in an Airbnb. I did not know this until I played him. Good lord. F-Throw hammer at 60 just kills. It's ridiculous. I love it. Kind of the same problem with the jumps, right? The edge guarding is a problem because... Yeah, you do have a lot of options, and you can contest in the air, but you do need to guess right, because pure distance-wise, you can't keep making that back.
Yeah.
Let's say versus Lucario, who can play that ground game like Meta Knight, where Kirby actually can. Kirby has Roy's dash attributes, which is wild to me. But Lucario can get that percent real easy, but doesn't have that easy kill confirm. The best he has, I believe, is a 50-50 that stops working by the time up throw cape stops working. That or like a move in neutral, or using aura to get a move in neutral, kind of like cheat it out, or make the command grab threatening. Like,
yeah.
And then I think the worst of the three, for instance, on Ed being edge guarded and edge guarding in return. You get your grounded punish if I use my jump, or if like you can shark me out of that. But outside of that, you have to make it back to stage. There's simply no alternative. And I think for playing, like for now, let's just assume sticking to these 3 characters. For playing these 3 characters in tournament, you are going to have to, a small amount, be like, oh, right, so let's say, it's not melee. Oh, Samus. What do I want to deal with, right? Do I want to deal with Samus recovery? Do I just want to let her back on stage? Maybe I don't mind playing Lucario right now, right? Oh, Ike. Maybe I really want to intercept Ike recovery. I want to play one of the puffballs. Which one? Maybe that's something you can figure out with experience. Maybe like, against this Florida Ike player, I think they have a habit of X, so I'm going to use Meta Knight and try to punish habit of X because Meta Knight's better at it for whatever reason, right?
Okay.
Bowser. Lucario is scary because normally when you hit somebody, even on CC, it's good for you. But this is a little, especially if it's like a weird character. Like, actually, Squirtle's a great example. Like, even if you personally have played a Squirtle, like the point remains, there's 42 characters. Have you played like a mid to high level Squirtle with all 3 characters? Have you played a mid to high level Knuckles? Right? Like, I think having a baseline would be also a good idea. And based on just the 3 characters alone, I would probably suggest Meta Knight. He's much more stable. But Lucario and Kirby are not like bad characters in this patch by any means.
Yeah.
Just Meta Knight is a little bit of everything, and is very good at having something to punish a habit you just noticed. Right. So like if you're Kirby and you just realize, oh, they recover high all the time. It's like, well, that's nice, right? Like. I'm just going to watch them do that, I guess. I know they're doing it. Cool. Or with Lucario, kind of the same idea. It's like, oh, I could go intercept Ike quick draw. It's like, with Lucario, fair, I guess, but nice, cool. Whereas Meta Knight is more well-rounded in that sense, where whether it's edge guarding habits, on-stage habits, like they're shielding, they're not respecting up throw cape or up throw whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe like that could be your base game plan, right? Is to start with, if I don't know this player or this matchup, right? Just someone just walks into the venue in Florida and is like, "Yo, I play Olimar," and it's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do against Olimar. I barely know what he does." Like, have a default to go to.
Okay.
And it could be any three of them. It could be hell. You could, if you want to like open your phone and just pick go to like Google and be like, pick a random number between 1 and 3. So long as you know that's what you're going to do, I think that still is fine. You have decided to go to Google and pick, roll a D3 or whatever. But so that way you can start thinking about it before you physically, before the word go hits the screen. You can think about like, okay, if I'm playing Meta Knight against Olimar's recovery is not great. His hitboxes on up B are bad. Maybe I had to go out there and like Invincible Nair Buzzsaw, like Quaff style, right? Maybe on the ground game, you do something else character specific. Like there's especially because your knowledge is split among multiple characters, your knowledge, hand, and like habits, getting that tiny little head start and not having to think about like Olimar, what do I do here? It's like, I don't know this character, therefore Google, or like, it's Marth. Okay, I'm playing Jags, right? I have thought about this, like in the few minutes ahead of time. I've decided that I want to start with Lucario, or like I want to try Kirby, etc. So you're not on the screen where it's like, okay, they picked Marth or they picked Snake or something, right? And you're like, what do I do now? It's like, this is game 1. If that's like a game 2 or a game 3 energy kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to be like, as soon as you sit down, already have that idea of what you're gonna do, regardless of who it is, and then from there you can decide to like change things, right? Is that basically what you're saying?
Exactly. Because if you've decided like, okay, I don't know what Olimar really does super well, but he beat my Meta Knight. He beat my Meta Knight by doing... Coming up with examples is hard because Meta Knight's good. He beat my Kirby by recovering high. Let me go Meta Knight to fix the thing that I was unable to handle or that I wasn't ready for, right? So like now you were switching for a reason. You were going, Meta Knight has this attribute or this technique or this ability that Kirby or Lucario or whoever does not. Therefore, I'm going to use him explicitly to do this thing.
Yeah.
And when you go into like game 2s or 3s like that it's a lot easier to focus on that thing. Be like, oh yeah, he recovered high. That's why I'm playing Meta Knight. So I'll be, you'll be more aware of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was a lot. I apologize for kind of just...
No. You're good.
Okay. What's a character... You said you have Marth experience.
Yeah.
I'm not super great at Marth, but I think my goal here is to like cycle between characters and like get as much variety as possible. Mm-hmm. So that way you can... So that way you can kind of try to figure out how to figure out your personal pros and cons for your different characters against different matchups yourself. Because like there's two. If this was Melee, it'd be one thing to be like, okay, there's 8 characters more or less. Yeah. Against Falcon, you can do X. Against Fox, you can pick Y. But like there's 42. Yeah. And especially if you're playing 3 characters, you have 3 separate sets of 42 matchups.
Yes. Yeah.
So you are gonna this nice blue. You're gonna need to be able to figure out what are you willing to put up with for these different characters? Like, if you like playing Falcon, in which matchups are you cool with never touching the stage after you get knocked off stage, right? Like, is that a make or break for you, for instance?
Mm. Yeah. And Marth's just a matchup that I have always struggled with, no matter like who it is, which is weird because I played the best... theoretically the best Marth. We'll say that Jags Money is the best Marth in my opinion, but...
Peak Jags is definitely the best Marth, I think.
I love that kid. I've known him since high school, and we've been best friends ever since. But yeah, it's just a matchup that I've always really struggled with. I got knocked out of pools at Undertow by a Marth, and it was just like it was really like I should know how to play this matchup, but for some reason I guess I have like I don't think I have a mental block against Jags. I think it's more Marth at this point because I play him all the time and I know his habits. I know what he's gonna do, but I think it's just Marth for me. At least that's probably like my worst matchup that I play.
Gotcha.
Other than that, it's like there are characters that I would play like for instance against the Luigi player in Tallahassee that I play against. I normally go Kirby Meta Knight in that matchup, but I stay away from Lucario.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think something I don't know if you had a chance to watch watch the VODs that I sent you.
Yep.
But in that matchup, I had won game 1 as Kirby, lost game 2, but I think if I had stayed Kirby, because I switched game 3 to Meta Knight, but I think if I had stayed Kirby, I would have played better. I feel like I just kind of like switched to Meta Knight just because one, I was practicing it like that matchup before the tournament, so I was like I wanted to see how well it would go, and two, that matchup is just not that good for Luigi to begin with. Yeah. But I think if I had like stayed with my with what I was comfortable with rather than what I had been like practicing versus and matchup wise, I think I would have played better, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's another thing that is going to just be kind of like a hard road is like I mentioned earlier, you have a decision to make on this screen. And that means you have to worry about, you are inevitably going to worry, did you make the right decision? Could you have made a better decision? And moving past that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people, myself included, who could not play multiple characters in tournament for this exact reason. Like it is just a difficult thing to like be able to deal with. It's a very unique pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel that. And it was weird because like after I had lost, I didn't feel like I had made the wrong decision. It was more like I didn't quite understand how to win with Meta Knight versus Kirby. And it was just I had more I think the comfortability along with me just playing Kirby for longer than I've played Meta Knight for.
Yeah.
Just helped me more in that, even if the matchup is worse, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that can go into that. Again, especially because if you're playing multiple characters, you're not going to have that equivalent, like they're not going to all be at 100% or at like level 50 out of 100, for instance, right? Like your Meta Knight, especially depending on matchup, might be like level 40 something. Your Kirby might be 50 something. Your Lucario might be 60 something in some matchups and 30 something in others, right? Like,
yeah, and even like not even in matchups, just like from a day-to-day basis. Like I might be playing better on Kirby than Lucario, or like and it could switch from day to day. You know, I just might not be feeling it, and that's just something that that when I was talking with Jags, I was like, he was telling me that like I'm going to have to accept losing because that's just comes inevitably with picking multiple characters in tournament. Like sometimes it's just not gonna like feel like your best day with that character, and you have to like be accepting of that in order to do better. And that is basically something that I was like, yeah, I definitely need to understand that because I hate losing. It feels so bad when like I know I could do better.
I think that's a good drive to have. But there is like a feasible, like your best is different every day.
Yeah.
It's not always better than the previous day, and that's okay. Like we're not machines.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's play like about 3 games on a variety of matchups. And basically just try to kind of get used to like, how do you assess like if this is a matchup you want to deal with character A versus character B. Also, player habits tend to be more pronounced when you play multiple characters. Because... just like... Nice. Just because you have more ways to go about them. I will gladly take that steal. Ooh, nice. Yeah.
I killed.
Yeah, I think metal cavern sides are pretty close. See, if I was a cool Marth player like Jags Money, I would be able to do pivot F smash off of that throw.
Oh no.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I've been talking with Teals a bit, and he's been teaching me some Meta Knight things. I'm still like very uncomfortable with using
Cape.
Like cape. Oh yeah, should saw that coming.
Yeah, I'm trying to help someone learn, like, basically get comfortable with Meta Knight. Same vibe of like, wait, why does it go this way?
It's so weird. Like the control stick is the direction that you're like facing. When I feel like it should be the
way
C
around.
stick. Yeah. That's it, yep.
Oh, the up air, the cleanliness. God damn it. Good call going to ledge. That was a wacky situation.
Well,
Okay, let's do one more match with this matchup.
yeah, I got you. god.
Yeah, remember, with the way that his aerials work, you can press buttons that low. You can't do it forever, but you're not. It's not like Spacey levels where you just have to like take the hit. Yeah, but if you flinched. I missed the tag. Okay. That was good awareness that you could at least threaten the stock there, even if yours was over, you know? Okay. So it seems like in this matchup, the biggest ways that I got the kill, especially since I'm not like a super practiced Marth player in the sense of like throw pivot stuff, was just like going out there and just hitting you off stage. Mm-hmm. Because part of this is Meta Knight, because the risk reward for you like getting hit by your fair or nair or anything is like, oh no, I'm on stage. Mm-hmm. I also, because Marth is a floaty, this kind of should have been a problem, but it didn't really. I didn't like feel the pressure. I don't care about being above you. Like when you up smash me, or even when you up air me, I'm not super threatened. I don't think you got more than like 2 or 3 hits off of sharking me. It's like I'm not. I don't, and because of that, I don't have to panic and take a risky option to land like down air or anything, right?
Yeah.
Some of that is, I think, just like general like Meta Knight comfort, because even in the Luigi matchup, I saw you on Wario, you were doing like even on like tech punishes, so you know it's gonna hit. You're doing like full hop up air and then drift away. Mm-hmm. Meta Knight does not have enough drift to really like do that and actually like still follow up. Like that's like Wario and Puff can do that. Maybe even like I don't know who else at the top of my head, but like Meta Knight doesn't have the extra mobility with aerial drift alone to be able to like up air, drift away, and then if it hits, keep going.
Okay.
Part of the strength of that move though is that it does send to the tumble at like 20, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, are they mashing nair out of hit stun? You have tons of hit stun to work with. Between the moves IASA being really good and then it's sending it to tumble super early. And I know Luigi's an extreme example. Mm-hmm. But you do, even on Luigi, you do have a more than enough time to like safely at least get like 1 or 2 more in there. Maybe get like a nair, or like you don't have to be afraid of the Luigi nair near as much. Mm-hmm. Especially against characters like Marth who don't have an equivalent option. Like Marth's best option for getting down is counter, dare, or just like physically getting past you in some way. Mm-hmm. So that might be something to think about for like, oh, right now my sharking with Meta Knight isn't quite there. Don't switch, because theoretically Meta Knight should be able to shark if I'm not feeling comfy with it yet. Mm-hmm. Here, let's mix up the matchups. Pick either Kirby or Lucario, and I'll pick Mario. Mario's nice and easy, like no, straightforward, more specifically. And let's just kind of do the same thing. Let's give this a go. It's just like going to be some practice getting like I said, practice getting the pros and cons down, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there you go. It's a big hitbox.
Yeah.
Something I want to point out before we go to any of the other games is that, and this is going to this part of this is just going to happen when you're switching between characters, especially kind of like radically different offstage. Is that you're kind of going out there for Lucario edgeguards when, like, that is definitely an option, but Mario is a very scary character to try to edgeguard, and Lucario's edgeguards are basically either going to be like down air or nair that are actually going to kill.
Yeah.
So you're putting yourselves in those positions where, like, Meta Knight or Kirby could threaten kills, but Lucario, the risk and the reward are not, like, equivalent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I almost thought to charge Flood. Oh no. Oh no. Nice. I like the aura use to just kind of like get down. Oh, that's not side B. Shit. It's fine.
Yeah, that works too.
Up smash is a good move in like every game it's in. Every game up smash is in. Yep, all those games that up smash is in. I liked that you were. It seemed like you were more willing to just burn the aura on recovering.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good overall. That game, your throw follow-ups, even on my bad DI, when you got the you correctly mixed me up, a little weak. Mario does have his Nair, which isn't like it's not Luigi levels of terrifying, but like you do have to worry about it. But at the same time, like the reward on that is much lower than your reward on pushing what you're already doing. Oh, I thought the cape would extend. There's only like 4 frames where the cape doesn't reflect before end lag is done.
Oh, thought if I could stall, I could get hit there.
You could just hit me, and then cancel into up B. Oh, good job going to ledge.
God. Yeah, that's something I've always had trouble with is like Lucario's like aerial movement off of throws, because it's like it's very weird for his like his weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel like it should be. It's what it is.
We're fine. No, we're not fine. Okay.
Oh my god.
Ah, nice. I didn't think you would go there that fast. It's fine.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's something you also can... It's a generalized character thing. Whatever opponent you're fighting, you can try to recognize what options that they are more likely to go for. Like if they have a kill throw, or if up smash is hard to punish, right? Then, they're more likely to just toss it out at kill percent. And even if your punish isn't huge, oh good lord, even if your punish isn't huge, just making sure that you can hit them for it is the big thing, because they're more likely to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a kind of example for that matchup, some pros and cons might be it's hard to recover without aura. I mean, that's a Lucario thing in general, but like between back air and cape, if Mario knows where you either are going or have to end up because of grounded recovery, dead time, right? Like, is bad. And maybe for an example of like I was saying with Meta Knight sharking, things that you kind of need to work on, so they don't really factor into the pros. They don't factor into the pros list yet. You're having a hard time like building that percent and like threatening my shield because your grab conversions aren't like quite there yet.
Yeah.
So, especially for higher percents, where if you get the 50-50 on down throw, up throw, you can threaten a kill without having to use aura. You don't have to use side B and powered.
Yeah.
That can be a super useful thing to work on. Just practicing moving out of those throws. And it can be kind of rewarding, seeing that I've practiced this, I've gotten better at it, I can add it to my pros column for this matchup now. Like, like for example, let's say there's a Donkey Kong matchup, and you're like, I know Meta Knight technically should win, but I'm having issues with sharking with up air. As you practice that and get better at it, the matchup will become better. Meta Knight will become a better option for the matchup, whether you're using him or using like Kirby or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. So we had super floaty, we had kind of floaty. Let's do kind of. Actually, let's do Roy. Because we also had Marth, so this will be a good, like, kind of similar, but the attributes are super wild. Okay. Then after this, I think I'm going to try DK. Just for like an extreme fast faller, as an example.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, I thought I had down B.
Oh no, that is not CC percent. Oh no. Oh no, the down tilt or down smash. That does hit high, good lord. Ooh, nice back air, confirm, hell yeah. Okay, you're right.
Oh,
You're
I
right.
didn't mean to fucking cancel it. Oh, no.
Oh! They're a legend. No!
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's just going to be kind of like movement, comfort of movement, I think.
Yeah. And it's weird, because, like, that's the one thing that's, like, taking me the longest to get down is, like, kill confirms on Nair. Like, I can get it, like, probably, like, 30 to 40% of the time, but it sucks when I miss it, because now I'm off stage, and I can't cancel it back into an up B, you know?
Right, because you have nothing to hit.
Yeah, and it takes forever to end when it's not canceled.
Right.
And that's just something that, like, I'm not sure how to practice that, you know, because not like I can like run in with it other than like going into tournament, because like that's like something
You could. I'm just going to show you like ways to set up the situation. So let's take Roy.
Yeah, because I understand like on the I can get it when I know which direction they're DIing, you know. So like in this you can set the DI obviously.
Right.
But it's more like I don't know how to get it when it's ambiguous, you know, or when, you know, they mix it up. And that's what's like confusing. And I wish there was like an option that is just like random DI, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if this is an option because it says slight DI. I'm trying to figure out if it's the same every time. It seems like it is the same every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other than like, going into the only thing that I can think of is like going in with a CPU.
It is not the same every time. He DI'd that one differently.
Hmm.
So slight DI, I don't think it'll be hard DI in or out, but it will be slightly different. Why don't I try to L cancel on hit? So this is only a really solid example. Wow, his late goes nowhere. Really solid example for the for like kill confirm percents.
Mm-hmm. But
you still can basically use this to practice.
Yeah.
Especially if because you still have DI mix-ups. Maybe not on Roy because he's kind of a fastball, but this, especially on slight DI, that could still be up air, and it's easier to hit in P+ too.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is something you can kind of set up. It's not perfect. But it is something like it's a tool you have.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with that slight DI option of like, oh, I know they're going to be DIing maybe at like a 45-degree angle, but which direction, right?
Yeah, okay.
Oh man, this training mode really messes up the tag thing. Okay, let's give it some decon. Yeah. I think use either of those two, just to mix it up.
I haven't really played this matchup much, so I'm just like thinking of like who I would want to play it with. I would probably like want to play it with Meta Knight.
Why? This maybe is a good way to kind of like talk through it.
So a lot of the VODs, I watch a lot of Teal's VODs with with him, and just. I guess I know more about this matchup because I've seen it like played at high level, Yeah,
that's a perfectly valid reason. I'm not trying to like challenge you on that. I just
no.
That way you have a reasoning for it.
Yeah, and it's with like Kirby, it's more like I want to play. I feel like I could play this. Actually, let's just go ahead and play it.
Okay.
Because I feel like either of those it would be fine.
Before we start, what are you going to be looking for? Just give me like one thing real quick. Oh, he's so mad. Look at him, so mad.
I love this Kirby skin. But so like in this matchup, for example, it's gonna be hard because like normally what I try to do is I try to see what they're gonna do about Kirby crouch cancel, because Kirby crouch cancel can like obviously crouch under grab. And do a lot of other things, but like in this matchup in particular, it is like DK's crouch cancel is probably better. So in my head, it's more of like I have to be able to try and kill off of throws, because I know that I can hit like forward throw hammer on DK and just kill him at like 60. So trying to like get a crouch cancel like down smash or F smash in this matchup would probably be more difficult because crouch cancel against DK is more difficult in general.
Gotcha.
At least that's like my understanding of it. And like I don't think I'm really in this matchup trying to juggle DK like I would with Meta Knight, but more try and force him off stage and just edge guard, because back air beats up B. Kirby back air beats up B.
Gotcha. So, I think that all tracks. That all checks out.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give this a shot then.
Okay.
Gonna be looking for CC. Get me out of here.
no. Oh. And I'm dead.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate timing on the down throw.
Yeah.
If that hit, though. Ooh, that's gone, yeah.
I have been cargo throwed punched so many times by Nog.
It's a pretty good thing to do against floaties.
Yeah.
It's a good move, TM. Photo. Gosh, I always forget how crazy up tilt is. Just base knockback value.
Oh.
Okay. So I think, as an example of like the things that we listed about the matchup that I think are good points to like bully DK. For the most part, I forget the exact situation. I think it was a throw. You opted to throw me on stage instead of like F throw or down throw to keep me cornered.
Yeah.
You like back threw me and I just like teched away or like grabbed ledge.
Yeah. There were two scenarios that I noticed where I probably could have gotten like F throw hammer, but it was just, I don't know, like in my head, like this is like kind of like what I'm talking about, where like when I say like I'm not autopiloting because I'm conscious of what I'm doing, but it's hard for me to make the correct decision, you know?
Yeah.
That was weird, DI.
He's a fast volley boy. Nice. Oh no. I missed the nair, but I will gladly take credit.
Oh no.
Oh.
I slid off and buffered it.
Ha ha.
Yeah.
What a silly throw game. Ooh, tip man, hell yeah. So, on the topic of like having the plan and just like not your hands not like sticking to it, Dare is a good option against DK.
Yeah.
Especially in some like situations where like you can't turn around fast. But you didn't really, except for like once or twice, challenge up B with back air.
Yeah.
You always went for the like kind of, And at low percent, I get it, because it'll take like 30 years versus the one down air, which will just kill him instantly, more or less.
Yeah.
But especially at high percent, where rinse repeat is a valid like strategy. Sometimes you got to just do the boring thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Grab ledge.
Yeah, you were a little too far to snap. Oh!
That definitely would have killed him.
Oh my lord, this character is a problem. Have you ever watched, especially Melee, but even in PM, when a Marth like will side B at this spacing to the ledge, where like they almost certainly could have just grabbed it, or like here, they'll like side B like right here, and they get put in all that lag.
Yeah,
that's the same kind of thing that happened. I haven't been seeing a ton of it, but just that's the same kind of thing that happened with Cutter Dash when you were like right here, or a little higher up. You were like right here. You probably could have just drifted to ledge rather than go into the lag and get the meteor lockout. And same thing. So like same thing universally, but like especially because Kirby has 5 drumps. He has 5 drumps.
Yeah. It's better to obviously jump and snap the ledge.
Yeah, rather than like going into that lag, using all of your jumps except for one too when you press that button. That's just like a something that can. It is a little Kirby specific, but in a general note, like.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing with like Meta Knight.
Yeah, the faster you can just get to the ledge, the better. Speaking of Meta Knight, let's play this matchup a little bit, or any matchup against Meta Knight a little bit.
Or I would probably play this.
Hell yeah. Okay, so what's your reasoning for picking Wolf here?
Well, Meta Knight can't really deal with lasers. So, like, I guess my idea would be to shoot lasers until I can figure out what the opponent is going to do about lasers, and then try and, like, punish that. Basically.
Okay, so with Wolf, shoot lasers, deal with what they're doing to deal with it is a solid strategy. Oh, and the game has graced you with FD. Yeah. Let's go gun stage.
I just kind of have the problem where it's like I'll shoot lasers up until like a certain point, and then I'll forget to shoot lasers again the rest of the game.
Oh no, I'm gone for sure. Yeah. Ooh, good CC. Oh no. Goodbye. The longest moonwalk to get to ledge.
Yep.
Yo, let's go. I wasn't sure if that would work. Pressing down B at any point is terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you actually did this thing, the exact thing you said, where you kind of just forgot to shoot lasers.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like something that like I have trouble with like this character specifically. Cause like I'll shoot lasers and then I'll just stop.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right, you're right. Nice. Good timing, good timing.
Yep.
Oh, not quite. That was the wackest hitbox. Okay, what was that little ding? Okay, that ding was nothing. Great. How do we work on sticking to even like a loose game plan? Damn it.
Yep.
I was trying to get you up there. Oh, nice. No. No, it's so close.
Very cool.
Maybe the thought process is what's happening here. I think what might be happening is that you're going, okay, the game plan is shoot gun, punish getting around gun. And when you're not seeing the results of punish getting around gun, you just like subconsciously stop doing the plan because it's not working.
Yeah.
So maybe just rephrasing it as like, oh, okay, the plan is shoot the gun, so they have to get around the blaster. So that way, if you don't punish if they get around your neutral a little bit for a while, the plan has not failed. They just had to get around laser.
So basically, just trust shooting the gun more.
For Wolf specifically, yes, but also
yeah.
Here, let's go to FT real quick. Go ahead and just shoot the blaster. And so I can pause the screen with it on screen. So, like, right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first way to phrase the plan is, punish them for getting around blaster, meaning that you have to, especially because, again, low blasters are like a character-specific thing that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I could probably run out of this one, or,
yeah.
lightly crouch, because Meta Knight's weird, but...
Yeah.
If you don't hit me for getting around this, with the first phrasing, the plan has failed. You have not punished me for getting around blaster.
Yeah.
The second phrasing, it's like, I've shot the gun and they had to get around blaster. That was the whole plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has not failed. I don't need to automatically do something else just because I missed. Like, they got around my attempts at hitting them out of blaster a few times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's like phrasing like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play a little more. So it was like an example for that edge guard, right? The plan, whenever a spacey gets off stage, is to kill them. But
Yeah.
so the plan can also just be something simple, like, oh, just make sure that they have a hard time getting back to stage, or that I keep them off stage. And even if that F tilt doesn't like directly accomplish that plan of like killing the spacey, it buys me time. So it's a setup. It's not like a wasted action. A lot of edge guarding specifically is very like setup based in that way, where it's like even if this doesn't like get the kill, even if this doesn't like, even if the shadow ball doesn't hit right, it forces a jump. You see characters with like big beefy charge projectiles like Mewtwo and Samus will do that a lot. Like realistically, it's super unlikely that they don't literally see. Ooh, nice angle. Realistically, see the shadow ball or whatever kill move and just like dodge, right? But they have to dodge. They have to jump. No! Why is this move so whack?
There we go.
But also so cool. God, I need to just sit down and lab it out because there's another student that is like trying to like learn MK, and that's one of the big things. IDC is weird. And I don't really have a ton of advice, like, from personal experience, so it's just, like, outside of anything that's just, like, the same direction. More FD, cool. But, yeah. So maybe that's, to get back to the topic of, like, oh, maybe, like, getting back to stage is the recovery, right? Maybe I don't need to get the reversal with Mewtwo teleport every time. Nice, that was a combo. Oh, I think I forgot to. Ah, damn it! I gotta send a text super quick. Gosh dang it! I was traveling earlier, visiting my parents, and I forgot to say that I got back home. And I always forget, so that's something they were teasing me about earlier. In fact, I'm like, this time I'll get it, and I didn't.
I didn't touch the stage.
That was a criminal reverse hit. I was just hoping to get that hit at all. I can't grab ledge there. An example. So something I'm doing in this matchup a lot that is, I'm good. Like if this was tournament, I would just keep doing because you're not like hurting me for it. Nice. It's just Dacus.
Yeah.
So like an example of like a short-term goal, not even short-term, but like a mashup goal is just like, oh, just it doesn't have to be hard, but just punish them for trying to just dack us, right? Give them one more thing to worry about. Like, because then that goes through my head of like, oh, if I Dacus, I might get hit for it. And the harder the punish, the more prevalent that is in my head.
Yeah, and I think the issue is I'm the reason why Dacus works is because I feel like I'm jumping in too much, and you're just Dacusing in and it hits me, and I'm like, well, there we go. But like, it's weird because like I feel like sometimes I know when it's coming, and then I'll still do it, and it's that whole like I'm conscious of the mistake, but it's not there yet, you know.
Yeah, one thing let's try here, let's keep going to FD for that reason, is when you think that's going to happen, specific, like, pick an action to do, like shield, or like help jab combo, like, so aside from just like, oh, it's happening, and then having to think, what do I do? You just think, oh, it's happening, thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What is... I'll take worst options in the world for 100, Alec. IDC at 0. Let's go. Good DI. No, the ledge dash. No. Cape Y.
Oh no. I did it again.
Just a little too low.
I did the exact same thing.
I think you did a really good job of CC and shielding when you were expecting the Dacus.
Yeah. Let me write that down.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like in this case for Dacus. The answer is relatively straightforward. Of like be on the ground and be ready with CC or shield.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll be harder than that, but it'll also usually be more abstract. And I do want to point out that you did stop blastering as much, but that is like a normal. That's not like a failure on your part. That is just a normal way of how our brains work, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for Dacus and being like, okay, I have this thing keyed in and ready to go when I expect Dacus, that is more energy you're not using to enact your, like, I guess, neutral game plan of blaster and react. Yeah. That's one thing that you also will have a harder time than most with, is like a neutral game plan while also looking for something. Because your hands have to go between Lucario muscle memory. Meta Knight and Kirby aren't super wild, but like Wolf, a little bit of Wolf muscle memory, a little bit of Lucario. Like, oh, how quickly can you act out of up air? Like, well, you have 4 up airs, right? Yeah. You got to be in like Meta Knight mode or Kirby mode or Wolf mode, etc. Mm-hmm. So that is going to take a little more practice and like awareness. Be like, oh, okay, so my normal game plan is this. I have to let my hands do short hop blaster. And it's not, like, just mathematically, it is not going to be as good as if you only played Wolf.
Yeah.
But that is part of the benefit, is having the 4 characters, having the 3, 4, 5 characters, right? Like, that's why Parker plays multiple characters. You see him pick multiple characters for a ton of different matchups. And a lot of them can do the same kind of thing of, like, you know, Lucario Meta Knight, left, right, strike, throw mix-up. So a lot of that is shared, and that's kind of how he compartmentalizes it, right? Because if you have to think, like, on a very base example, if I have to think about a wave dash, I cannot think about what you're doing or, like, react as quickly, right? So if I'm like, jump, air dodge. Okay, jump, air dodge. Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm not looking at you anymore.
Yeah.
So if my hands are able to do this automatically, okay, I was getting this in play. I actually do kind of have this ledge dash down a little bit. So if my hands can do this, or like whatever option I want here, then like I can just look at you. I don't have to look at me.
Yeah.
So similarly, if your hands, especially with Wolf, if you could just do like short hop blaster wavelands and just like know where you are based on like camera and like knowledge of your character, then you don't have to. It'll be easier to be like, oh, okay, I'm here, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, that is. I don't. Aside from like helping you be aware of it, I don't really have a fix for that because that's just like our brains have X amount of energy, right? And that's a limited resource. And the more difficult the opponent you're playing, the less, like, the more it will take.
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like I've gotten to that point with Zelda, where it's like I can play the character enough to like not have to worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just because I've played her for so long. But with these other characters, where it's like I haven't played them for as long, so I'm not entirely comfortable with trusting myself with them yet. You know, it definitely becomes harder in that sense.
That's probably a lot of the reason, or part of the reason why you're having issues like with getting a game plan and sticking to it, is because you're having to think about like, oh, okay, wait, I up throw at 100 with Meta Knight, right? Like, oh, throw mix up, or like, oh, down, like, oh yeah, ASC, I have to, okay, B trigger, okay, B shield, got it, okay, shit. What was I hitting again? Like, not consciously necessarily, but like your hands are having to be told what to do rather than just knowing.
Yes. Yeah.
So there is going to be a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah, and that's I think what I'm having trouble with right now is trying to bridge that gap just by playing, you know, the characters, like getting more used to playing the characters in tournament and then like in friendly sessions. Like I'm trying to like basically do things I wouldn't do in tournament, like go super far off stage or like try some of the things for example, one of the things that I was doing with Meta Knight versus your Marth was I was trying to go down and like hit you with back air. Yeah. And I was like, that was something that I had watched Teals do a lot, and I was like, okay, this is like a matchup where I can try and incorporate that. Let me try and do this. And obviously, you know, it didn't work out some of the times, but like I was still trying to do it. So
I think that's a really good mentality to have. It's just that you also, especially with Meta Knight, like edgeguard stuff, like you have to represent the other options too.
Yeah. And
that only came up like 2 or 3 times, so that's not like enough of a sample size. I'm not saying you should have done anything different, but you got to be aware, like, I don't, like, especially in tournament, right? Like, until you prove Invincible Buzzsaw Nair will kill me every time and I have to do something different, why should I care? A little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that can be another thing. You can, like, the more you can compartmentalize into your hands and not have to think about, the more you can, like, be like, oh, this is the second time I Buzzsaw Nair and they died. They might try something tricky now. Let me go down there for back air this time.
Okay, yeah.
Or, like, right, like, okay, I'm laser blastering, and I can just watch them. Or not me personally, I'm awful at it, but like, you know, if Switch is just, you know, shooting the gun and just watching, it's a lot easier for him to pick up on habits because all of his head, his eyeballs, his brain are looking at you, or looking at the opponent. He doesn't have to look at himself because his hands can do the like.
His hands are already doing the thing that he needs to do.
Right, and he doesn't need to like think about that. I don't. So for advice on how to kind of get up there, maybe try like a few tournaments only playing the one character.
Okay.
Like just to be forcibly exposed to that like the gamut of your region's matchups.
Yeah.
And to be put in situations like that where like, oh okay, I need to just shoot the gun. And especially with the nature of like tournaments where usually the players you play early on are a little worse, you might have a little more energy. You can afford to expend that energy, be like, okay, I'm shooting the gun. What is happening, right? Like you can just observe. There's no rush. You got 8 minutes. And with like 3 of your 4 characters, either you're going to die or they're going to die within 3 of them, right? Like, even Kirby kind of is scrappy and light, so he's not going to like live forever.
Yeah.
But you have extra time. You don't like. There's no rush to be like, okay, on this one, what is their habit? Like a minute in.
Yeah.
You can be like, oh, okay, I've noticed a trend, and especially with like Wolf is a really good example because Blaster is so like you have to get around it. You can't just deal with it hardly. You're like, oh, okay, they've gotten around Blaster like this frequently, or maybe like at high percent they just go for this instead of shielding, right? Like you can actively observe when your hands can just do their thing. It's like, if you've ever watched speedrunners, it's the same thing, right? Like, if there's a difficult trick, their hands are doing a thing, and then they are observing to see, like, oh, is any of the spacing off? Do I need to change the timing? Anything tricky like that. But, like, that's how people do runs blindfolded, right? Is they just, it's in their hands entirely, and they're thinking about, like, the map in their head, or, like, they're thinking about, resources in their head, like, because it's so ingrained, and that's an extreme example because that's one game forever versus like four-ish characters intermittently. But like, if you can get to the point where you can just kind of like left right with Meta Knights, or like convert off of a small combo. Like if you can up throw a cape and just only watch their DI and then be able to hit them, that's like a good starting point for like with the Zelda stuff where it's like, oh, okay, I can like react and think during the game without having to like multitask anymore. And I think that'll open up a lot more like awareness for this. Like, oh, okay, my plan is like, because Wolf's is easy, right? Shoot, gun, do stuff. But stuff like, oh, what does Meta Knight Squirtle look like? Like, you have to think about that. That's a weird matchup with a lot of variability. Or like Meta Knight Pikachu. Like,
and like normally with that, I think with what you were saying was is like play one character like a tournament. Like I will be forced into that situation where I do have to think about it,
right?
Rather than like if it's like, oh, I see a Squirtle on the screen, I'm gonna pick like Kirby and just kind of live,
Yeah, like they're not gonna get the confirms or whatever.
Yeah. Whereas, like, Meta Knight would probably be better if I had just thought about it a little bit more and, like, actually tried to do, Meta Knight things. Yeah.
It also saves you the energy of, like, on this screen being like, okay, who do I play? Especially for weird matchups. Because, like, no, I don't, like, you've self-inflicted for this local, you are only playing this one character. You don't, like, that's a little extra energy. You don't have to be like, oh, wait, what about... Like, you don't have to run the matchup in your head and be like, okay, Lucario Squirtle, what does that look like? What is Meta Knight Squirtle? What is Kirby Squirtle? Wolf Squirtle? Maybe I want to bring out Pocket Ganon for Squirtle, right? Like, it's like, oh, they are playing Squirtle. Good for them. I'm picking the character that I've decided to pick today.
Yeah.
I would also, like you mentioned that you mentioned that you talk with Teals a little bit. I think it'd be valuable input to be like, hey, Boring Man. Maybe like, hey Sosa, if you know any, like, hey Nog, right? Hey Noah. How do you decide like what character to play, and how do you get to that point where your hands can do their own thing, and you can be like, oh, this is pivot down throw, and then it just happens as you react to what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Or like with Rob, it's like, oh, this is up throw percent, and you can just like move around, be fishing for that while still using your B move neutral stuff. Or like, how can you grab gyro when you're not even looking at it? Stuff like the comfort stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to work on. I almost want to say just if you decide what character you're going before day of, like try not to. I don't want to say muddy the waters, but like try not, especially with like Kirby and MK because their jumps are really similar. Like
Yeah.
try not to play too much of that character that you're not using for a day or two before the tournament.
You're saying like if I choose, say Lucario for the tournament, right? Don't play, like for like a day or two. Don't play any character but Lucario.
Yeah, I think give that a try.
Like just try to work around, like just practicing with Lucario and then stuff like that.
Yeah, because I think, at least from my perspective, putting myself in kind of those shoes, I think if I were to play, like, oh, let's say, I'm playing Mewtwo in tournament. I'm only playing Mewtwo. Everything else is off limits. And then I'm playing, like, Toon Link or Ivysaur and friendlies before the event happens. It's like, my hands are confused. Or they're not committed. My hands are not in a committed relationship with this character today.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a healthy relationship with Mewtwo. God.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, I think that go ahead and give that a try for this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
See kind of how it goes. And even if it doesn't, like, even if you don't do better or worse, just like see if you are a little more aware of like, oh, when they pick Squirtle, I just go, okay, I have to play Meta Knight, and then you can start formulating a little bit of like when I say a game plan, I mean like literally one singular thing. Like, oh, if they side B, I just pivot grab, or like I jump over it, right? Like it doesn't have to be a good punish. It doesn't have to be the best punish. It doesn't have to be a punish at all. But just like keeping one thing off to the side to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I did when I was talking with Jack, so I'm teaming with him in doubles. I did tell him that I'm probably going to end up playing Meta Knight in doubles. So I guess from like what you were saying then is, I guess I will stick to Meta Knight then for Saturday.
Yeah, I think give it a shot for sure.
Yeah.
Especially like Meta Knight is, like I mentioned earlier, probably the most well-rounded of those characters, even considering Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Like the multi-jumps are they get it for me.
Yeah, it's just so much more helpful in any scenario.
So you're not going to run into a situation where it's like, oh, I'm playing Kirby and they're playing Ganondorf and this is going to be painful. It's like, you're Meta Knight, you're going to be fine no matter what.
Yeah. So like I guess my next question is when do I get to the point where like I should stop picking a character for that week? So like because we have bi-weeklies, so every other week we have a tournament and I will pick like X character. So when should I get to the point where it's like, okay, I can start now comfortably bringing out other characters in the tournament?
Maybe that's like a really, I'm not sure. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. I've only ever played Mewtwo and Falcon, and I was solo maining at the time. So maybe
that's like a Nog question.
Yeah,
maybe
I think that's
help me with that. Yeah,
like
okay.
Those like top players that have played multiple characters in tournaments.
Yeah.
Which is actually getting higher and higher. Like Sosa Pit came out the other week.
I saw that. Yeah,
that was wild.
Nog playing like 4 different characters.
Nog playing Rob and being like, "Yo, this character." Wait, actually, Ivy, this character for sure. But yeah, I think just to answer your question about like what, like let's say Meta Knight on Saturday, right? And then 2 weeks after that, do you stick to Meta Knight? Do you go like back to like multiple? Do you go to just a different character? That's kind of a question for like, how did it feel on Saturday? Did you feel like relieved? Did you feel stressed out that like, oh, if I can't do it with Meta Knight, I can't do it with anybody? Yeah. Or, it's like a feelings question, which is very like hypothetical,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just have to like ask myself how it went and then like go from there. I think like I'll probably like in the in-between weeks where I'm like playing friendlies, I will play like all of my characters in friendlies, see how it feels, and then the week of the tournament, I'll be like, okay, this is the character that I'm going to play in this tournament, so I'm going to practice this, and then I guess eventually just get to the point where I have to stop asking myself, like, am I comfortable with this? You know, how did I feel?
Right. It's I don't think it has to be the full week of the tournament that you like can't play anywhere else, but like two-ish days,
like a day or two before, you know,
yeah, because that way it's like you don't have that backup option, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a trial by fire thing. It's like you're gonna get comfortable with like just the Meta Knight stuff, or you're gonna have a hard time and you're gonna have to like think about it, and that'll be, if that happens, that'll be a problem for you, and that'll be more in the front of your mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not like I can just like escape from it by going to another character. You know, I have to deal with it as this one character. You know,
right? Like Lucario example, like if you keep missing up throw and down throw conversions, you'll still have to keep throwing. So eventually, your hands will be like
other characters won't help with that.
Exactly.
You know. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it is a little character specific, but like maybe like a Meta Knight example is like, oh, if you're having a hard time with up throw cape. You kind of just have to like that 2 or 3 days you have to just kind of deal with it. Like you have to like practice it a little bit, maybe against like an easier like whatever easier percent or like floaty or like a little easier DI,
a bigger character,
so like maybe like an Ivysaur or a Charizard versus like a Kirby or a Puff, an outlier. But yeah, I think that's a lot to kind of like digest and work on. Let me know how Saturday goes also.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any other questions or anything else you want to talk about real quick?
I don't think so. I think we answered all the questions that I had like coming into this.
Sick.
But yeah, no. I'm really like playing Zelda got me that short-term like goal of like winning, but like I feel like I'm improving at like a lot faster rate now that I'm like at the point where I'm at, but I could also like learn more. Like I feel the knowledge coming into my brain, and it's just like expanding. But
your brain blast, let's get it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Zelda specifically also is like she does not have as much agency as most of the cast.
Yeah.
So you were a little bit like relying on like, okay, people are going to mess up against Zelda. People are going to mess up against everybody, but like, especially against Zelda.
A lot of my game plan was, does this person know how to do a Din's Fire? If they do, then I guess I'll just play neutral with them. If they don't, well then I win the game. You know.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of it was. That's how a lot of me going into like, how Undertow was. Most of the games I won, it was like a 3-stock, but like the games that I lost, I either like got destroyed or it was like very close because I was having to work so much harder, you know.
Right. It was, and you're not used to that. That's not 100% consistency thing because Zelda knowledge is a knowledge check, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you know how to DI her throws? Do you know how to deal with Din's Fire? And if you don't, much easier game. You don't have to interact with them near as much.
Yeah. And I think to a sense that kind of handicaps me because like she's also not a character that gets comboed really easily because she's floaty.
Right.
So like so switching to like other characters is like I may not be used to, you know, people knowing how to play them more because Meta Knight's a fairly common character, like Wolf, Spacey, you know.
But switching to like Kirby is like, oh wait, how do I combo this character? What should I be afraid of at 60, right?
Yeah.
Lucario is like, wait, oh, this character's shield pressure is weird. I forgot, right? Like, it is a little bit of the novelty value.
Yeah.
So before we call it, do you want to play best of 5 real quick?
Yeah, I'm down.
Hell yeah. Where's the... Yeah, hell yeah. The butterfly outfit is so cool. Okay, bottom, middle 3?
Yeah, I'm down.
Sick.
Just want to start... Yeah, let's go.
All right. Dude, you're done. That was a Dacus, and so was that. Let's go. Okay. God, you can DI that move so far. It is so wild to me. Oh, I thought I was on ledge. No! Whatever, I'm at 130. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Wow.
Build.
I'm going for the edge cancel shenanigans. It's so tempting, but it's so hard to actually hit Meta Knight with because he's so teeny.
Oh my god, they killed. I can't believe they hit me.
Yeah, that was the I guess charged is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that super doesn't combo, but it is like an option.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to the game 3 on Battlefield at this point.
I was gonna attack this. Yep.
Shit, I thought I had one more jump. No! I hate this move. This move's lame and stupid.
I did the wrong one.
Oh my gosh. No! Damn it.
Synchronized. Oh. Oh, no, I didn't jump. Oh, that was good.
Yep. I was mashing jump. That's just how good that move is.
Yeah. That's like something I'm also not used to is like killing with upbeat. So I was not sure if I would hit it, so I just fucking threw it out.
Yeah. This is the time to do it.
Yeah. Oh.
No! That was my down B. Ooh, that's fine. No, that's not fine.
Yep.
I'll take
I think
it.
I was a little bit too slow on that.
I think that hitting also is a little unlikely, but I'm not super familiar with Meta Knight compared to most of the cast, so.
Oh, reach it. Oh.
Yeah, the actual grab boxes on a lot of his recoveries are not very good. Well, it's just that he has so many of them.
Yeah. I never expect that to hit.
Yeah, there you didn't have any jumps, so you had to like commit really hard to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oops. That's not the good one here.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Damn it. Why is this character so whack? Goodbye.
Yeah.
No! Ah!
Oh,
Barely.
I can't believe I killed.
All
I
right.
guess sometimes it's just good to throw it out.
Sometimes, yeah. That is, it's really dangerous to throw out still, but
Yeah.
Up tilt has like hella active frames for some reason. No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no. We live in. Ah, that was evil.
I'm a bait.
That was pure evil. Oh, I almost got you.
You did.
Yeah, what about your down smash? Shit.
Oh no. My fingy slipped off my controller.
Dude, the fingies are a real point of contact. Ooh, nice. I'm cool with this. I'll take my satisfaction in my grave. If you think I'm above mashing down tilt after a grab release. What am I doing?
Reach. Keep doing it.
Damn it. No, not today, not today. This is fine. No, this is not fine. Oh, really now?
Killed! No! No! Oh no!
Really now,
I thought
Raze?
that would have killed. Oh, it was so close.
I know. It was very close. Oh, 94. Let's go. That's like a record for me. I am the greatest argument against auto L cancel. This is my existence. All right. That was a really fun set.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think to kind of recap, the big things are like just a little commitment, Raze. That's all. That's all the characters want from you. No, but just a little bit of like go like 2-3 days, especially into a tournament, like not like only really playing the one character.
Yeah.
That way, give your hands like. This sounds really stupid, but like that way, your hands aren't like just expecting the other character to show up. You like you'll have to kind of like get used to it.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. For sure.
That will. Let me know how that goes first off, but I expect it will probably help with the whole like, even if it's only one thing, having a small game plan, like a starting point.
Yeah.
And then from there, as you get that character up to where you can play without like thinking about it, that'll open up your awareness a lot for like, oh, what is this Yoshi doing? What does this character even do? Frankly, like what angles do they cover? What can they not do, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think aside from that, we're good.
Yeah.
This was a long one. Holy moly! I'm gonna go end the stream. Thank y'all for hanging out. Hope y'all learned something as well. I will catch y'all later.